Welcome back. This is Good Morning Namibia. Now, the 2024 Standard Bank Biomass Fair is aimed inter alia at promoting the growing biomass sector in Namibia and the surrounding regions. The fair is slated for the 8th to the 10th of August 2024 at Otjiwarongo in the Otjiwarongo region. Joining us with more details, Mr. Daniel Shagama, the Operations Officer at the Namibia Biomass Industry Group, as well as Mr. Romeo Muyunda, Chief Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning. Good morning for having us.
Mr. Shagama, how are you doing on this gift of a Monday morning?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, the pleasure is ours. Mr. Muyunda, it's been a minute. How have you been?
Been all right. Thank you very much for having me.
Staying out of mischief. Yeah. Mr. Shagama, let's start with you. This is the 2024 edition of the Standard Bank Biomass Fair. What is this edition all about?
Well, the Standard Bank Biomass Fair 2024 is actually an annual event which is hosted by Namibia Biomass Industry Group as well as Charcoal Association, which is well known as KEON. The aim is actually to promote the biomass sector or the booming biomass sector in Namibia and also in the region. The fair is going to take place from the 8th until the 10th of August in Otjiwarongo, and it actually comprises of the conference, the networking dinner, as well as 2 days expo. The conference is actually going to take place at Otjiwarongo Regional Conference Hall or Regional Officer Conference Hall, and as well as the networking event which is going to take place at Crocodile Farm. That will be now in the afternoon, just after the conference.
Very well. Let's just take one slight step back. You referred to the biomass industry as a booming industry.
Yeah.
Could you kindly contextualize what booming means in this context for those of us who may not be familiar with the biomass industry?
Okay. In this context, it's actually that, the biomass fair is kind of like a new industry, which actually got uplifted really from the 2015 because of the bush encroachment phenomena which we are having in Namibia. This phenomena is actually affecting the rangeland, occupying most of the landscape from rural community to commercial farms as well as resettlement farms, and it's affecting our biodiversity, reducing our biodiversity, as well as reducing our underground water. Namibia is actually a arid country, and we depend to underground water when we need water, as well as it's reducing our carrying capacity for grazing in farmlands.
Thank you.
So that's why we call it a booming, and through that we actually controlling the bush, and when you are controlling the bush, we develop value chains.
Thank you, sir. We'll get into some of those value chains in a bit. Mr. Muyunda, as the policy custodian responsible for the environment, for forestry and tourism, help us understand what business you have specifically with the Biomass Fair.
Yeah, thank you very much. As you have rightfully put it, we regulate the forestry industry, and of course the offtakes that come from the environment to support this industry must be regulated. That is where we come in as a ministry to look into the policy, to look into the laws that regulates the sector. But also at this fair specifically, we are going to look into how we integrate the rural communities or communal areas into benefiting from this value chain that comes from biomass. Daniel mentioned the fact that bush encroachment is affecting rangelands, and communal areas are no exception. And therefore, these communal areas have not been benefiting from the value chain that comes from bush encroachment. There hasn't been any charcoal production that is happening in these areas. And therefore, the ministry seeks to present a framework that we have developed for communal areas. But also for us, it's really just to bring in that element of, like I've mentioned, of bringing in what are the policies, what are the regulations, what does the law say in terms of the offtakes that comes from the environment so that it is sustainable moving forward.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sharma, let's talk about the value chains. What does it comprise, number one? Number two, to what extent do you believe that the fair specifically will benefit not only the local community in Otjiwarongo and the surrounding areas, but the region as a whole?
Okay. Value chains is actually products which we derive from the bush. When you're harvesting the bush, you actually develop them into these products, such as charcoal, such as wood chips. We use wood chips to produce thermal energy. Our Namibian brewery is also using wood chips. We've got our Horongo cement using wood chips as a supplement to the normal electricity. Biochar as well, it's a carbon sink product. It's more or less like charcoal if you look at it, but it's actually burnt at different high temperature and allow us to sink carbon. We are talking about global warming. So when we store carbon into the ground, we're actually able to mitigate or reduce the effect of global warming. The Biomass Fair is actually an event which promotes the biomass sector and allowing the Namibian and also the region to able to tap into this, just like I said, the booming sector, meaning that it provides opportunity for networking, allowing the farmers as well as the industrial players like the biomass harvesters and producers to come together. Same applies to policy makers to come together and create synergies among themselves. It also allow for or provide knowledge sharing, so meaning that people or participants who are actually coming to this biomass fair, they can able to learn about new technology into the industry. They can also able to learn about good practices where they are controlling the bush and also when they are processing the bush into value chains.
Thank you. So, you earlier spoke about compliance to laws, to policies, to regulations. You've also touched on the sustainability component. But let's have deeper regard to it. Which are the key challenges that we experience as a country as far as forestry is concerned?
I think on top of that is unsustainable harvesting, where people are really harvesting more than necessary, or harvesting especially for the biomass industry, where people are harvesting bigger trees because there is a prescribed size in terms of harvesting for the biomass industry, which is 18 centimeters and less. So we experience at times players harvesting bigger trees or unsustainable harvesting. The other one is veld fires. As you know that especially during the fire season, we battle a lot with veld fires. Some of these veld fires are started by these operations, and no due care is given in that regard. But we have given regulations in that regard so that we can be able to manage veld fires, especially coming from such operations. The other challenge that we have had, and I think I've spoken to it, is the fact that the communal communal areas did not have an opportunity for them to tap into these value chains. Yes, and this is something that we are addressing, and we are going to present this framework at the Biomass Fair so that it can help us to bring these value chains to the communal areas, and also for them to have opportunities, economic opportunities from the same value chains that the private landowners are actually enjoying.
Mr. Sharma, for those members, for those participants in the industry who do not abide by regulations and struggle with compliance, do you also create awareness, and will the fair also seek to strengthen that awareness that, listen, this is the size of the tree that you're allowed to harvest, and this is why compliance is important, because ultimately the pursuit is sustainability of the resource.
Yes, I mean, as an industry, we've been doing quite a lot of awareness. Namibia Biomass Industry Group represent a lot of members. So we actually go out to the farmers, to the biomass producers, and give them trainings on regulation issues. Even at the fair, we are having the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. They are also going to exhibit. They're actually part of our associate members. So they're going to exhibit, and so that they can able to pass on the message with regards to permitting issue. Before you harvest, you need to collect a permit from the Ministry of Environment, Directorate of Forestry, and at the same time allowing the people, especially now the communal, since we are going to, the ministry is also going to launch the framework for communal area or for communal farmers to start harvesting. This opportunity is also going to be given out there. But the most important thing, having the ministry to exhibit, is actually allowing people who are coming, the participant, to get more information at their stalls.
Mr. Muyunda, am I inferring correctly that at the heart of the communal governance framework is for communities to benefit from the value chains?
Yes, definitely. It is for communities to benefit from the value chains, having recognized that there is a lot of economic opportunities in terms of income generation, but also employment creation for communities. However, I must mention that we are going to target the communities that have gazetted community forests, and also those that have perhaps longer leaseholds, leaseholds in the communal areas, for them to be able to benefit from this. This is for a reason because, as you know, communal land, the resources they are shared, and you cannot give an individual to run that enterprise. So we need to give established institutions already in the form of communal forests that are established and gazetted for them to be able to do that. But also this will mean that the funds or the proceeds that are generated from there are actually used to benefit the members of that community forest or the residents of that specific communal area. So these funds will go into a common pool, and that's why we are targeting those two set of establishment or institutions at a communal level.
Lutumezi.
Lutumezi.
Shangwe. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the final preparations, and may the 2024 Standard Bank Biomass Fair be a resounding success.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
There you have it. All roads will lead to Otjiwarongo in the Otjiwarongo region for the Standard Bank 2024 Biomass Fair, slated for the 8th to the 10th of August 2024. We'll be back after a break.